Welcome to Fiction Recap. A guy named Chris who is spending his vacations in Switzerland. Chris is seen on a boat alone in the middle of the sea. Suddenly, his boat collides with another boat of a girl named Annie. Chris finds her bubbly and fruity nature very appealing and adjacent to his own, so he shares some snacks with her. Both ends up falling in love over a few-hour conversations in the middle of the ocean. The two rush their one-day relationship and marry one another. Later, Annie gives birth to two children, Anne and Marie. Chris has a perfect family that one imagines or dreams of. Chris and Annie spend their entire time nurturing and raising Anne and Marie. Their entire life takes a downward spiral when both of their kids dies in a tragic car accident on their way to school. Chris and Annie are seen in a state of shock and grief at the funeral of their young kids. The two are left broken and traumatized for the rest of their lives. Chris and Annie lose their spark in marriage. It almost seems impossible for the two to get back to a normal life. The scene then shifts to 4 years after the tragedy. Chris is seen working in a hospital as a pediatrician. As he's checking on a young patient, he gets a call from Annie, who's working in an art gallery as an artist and an art dealer. Annie stresses over her sellers that have not come to display their paintings yet. Chris calms her and suggests displaying her own paintings because he finds them admirable. At first, Annie doesn't find it a good idea, but Chris somehow convinces her. Annie reminds him that her paintings are back at home and she will not be able to display them on time. Chris ensures that he would bring her paintings from home on time. Chris's gesture makes Annie internally happy, so she decides to celebrate their 4-year anniversary and set their differences aside. Chris quickly finishes his appointment with the young kid and rushes back home. On his way, he sees multiple car accidents on a highway and runs to save some lives since he couldn't get to save his own children's lives. By the time he reaches a tilted car to free a severely injured woman, Chris gets smashed by another car that had gone flying in the air due to a flat tire. Sadly, Chris dies at the hand of the 911 team. When the news is broken down to Annie, she loses her sanity and gets a mental breakdown. She starts blaming herself for the death of her kids and husband and repetitively says that she should have gone to pick her kids up from school and she should have gone to get the paintings herself. At the funeral, Chris' wandering soul is seen placing his hands on Annie's face and trying to console her, but Annie can't see him since he's a spirit now. Although Annie does see a silhouette that's someone else. The same silhouette visits Chris's spirit, who happens to recognize him as his mentor Albert from the medical school. Albert has come to take Chris's spirit, but he isn't ready to go. Chris, in fact, thinks that he has a chance to make Annie feel his presence. Chris then complains and asks Albert why he's only seeing a silhouette of him instead of his human body. Albert smiles and ensures that he can see him whenever he's ready. Subsequently, Annie is seen writing a letter in memory of her late husband. Chris attempts to make Annie feel his existence by moving the pen from her hand into writing that he is here with her, and he wants her to feel his presence. Annie loses her mind and starts breaking things as she believes that she has lost her mind. She starts crying and loses her sense of reality because she believed that no one can get signals from the dead. Later, Annie goes to Chris's grave and cries her heart out. Chris's spirit is also there, and he tries to hug her from behind and give her emotional support. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.